words that are their own opposites. So what I'm going to do is write down a few words that are contronyms. So the first one is going to be sanction. The first one is sanction. So sanction is to mean could mean to allow something to happen if it's sanctioned, or it could be to penalise somebody for doing something. So you either get sanction is getting a tick of approval to do something, or if you get in trouble, you can get sanctioned for getting into trouble. So actually, once I started reading through this list, I thought to myself, yeah, that's actually quite good. That's actually quite a good way of thinking. Not thinking, but yeah, it sort of got me thinking about all these words. So dusting, you can be going around the house with a feather duster and removing dust, or dusting, if you think like a dusting of a sprinkling of powder or snow, you get a dusting. A sprinkling of like a sprinkling of powder is also called a dusting. So it's either removing something or it's covering something removing some fine particles, or it can also mean sprinkling fine particles as well. So it's actually quite it's interesting when you start to think about those words. Weather's another good one. Weather can mean, weathering the storm, can mean you withstand something, you weathered it. Or weathering could also mean, to erode. There's beach erosion, and that's also called to weather. Okay. Now another one is bound. You're bound. You're going somewhere. Is to be bound. Having a cartoon. I actually had or to be, tied up or restricted. I remember having this cartoon book when I was a kid, and the cartoon was a man standing there with, all wrapped up, tied up in ropes. He had his arm beside next to his body, and the rope had gone round many times, so he was bound. And the caption was, he was bound for Texas. So he was wrapped up, but he wanted to go to Texas. So he was bound for Texas, I remember at the time thinking, well, I remember the joke, I suppose. Might have been something that I thought about for a while before I actually kind of got it. But, anyway, it's probably something I thought about and got after a while. Bolt. If you bolt, is to bolt is to, to flee, run from some construction where you bolted something to something else. Clip. Clip can mean, if you clip means you can fasten things together with a clip, a little bulldog clip. Or it can also mean to, to cut. You might clip your nails. That's what I always try and do before. I don't think I did it today, though I might have done it yesterday. I always, try and keep my nails nice and short for these videos. If I'm thinking I'm going to do one, I'll just go outside and give my nails a quick cut to make sure there's they're not perfect, I suppose, but make sure they're kind of nice and clean to cut. What's that? The clip is to cut nails, etc. I know this was an interesting one, actually. This was a barrack. Barrack can mean, to cheer for your team. Cheer for your team, and apparently that's, in Australia we call it barracking. Yeah, but in the UK, barrack can mean to jeer, or, oh wait, that's not off. Jeer slash, I won't write all there because it gets confused with the middle all. I read that when I was reading about contronyms online. So somebody, I suppose that's correct. Barrack means to cheer on your team in Australia, but it means to jeer or heckle in the UK. And one other thing that I'll just root. This isn't really a contronym, but this is just, and that means to. And then in Australia, root has a totally different meaning. Nothing to do with cheering on your team, so I won't go any further with that one. It's kind of in Australia. It's probably a slightly politer way of describing it, or a comical way maybe. Okay, so that wasn't really a contronym. Alright, not a contronym. There. But that's a bit of an aside. Okay, so what else have I got? Okay, so, Oversight's a good one. Oversight is where you miss something. You miss something and it's sort of like almost neglectful from something, whatever. You forgot to do something, or it's where you also can also mean careful supervision. So you can either have somebody, oversight can be somebody watching carefully what you do, or like this where it's from a different person's point of view, like consult, which means to offer advice, which is, it's where somebody gets advice and then you're asking, offer advice or ask for advice, consult. It was not like that. It's the one word, means the same thing, really, but it's from a different person's point of view. So it's from the expert is the person offering the advice, and the person that's not sure is asking the expert for advice, and it's still called consult. The same with rent. Lease was another one, lease or rent, where if it's you own the building, then you lease it, but that's, you're allowing somebody else to use the building and they pay you money. Or if you're, on the other hand, you lease the building, lease the house, say, and then you're leasing it from the other person. It's sort of the same thing, but it's just from a different person's point of view. So, so I probably won't list all those ones, like consult, lease, and rent. The next one is to flog. Flog is to, promote something, try to sell something, saying something's really great, and promoting it aggressively. Or if you're not happy with something, then you could, if you don't think something's great, then you might flog it, just to beat it severely. Is there an E there? Severely. Okay. Is to flog. Okay, and now another one for this page. Last one for this page. Trip. Could mean to, like to stumble. And trip is to stumble. And, deviate, I suppose, from where you're trying to go to. Or it can also mean to travel. Is a trip. So it's stumble along your way, or it's to travel somewhere. I've been watching, travel reminds me, I've been watching on YouTube these, the sovereign citizen videos. It's basically the police pulling them over, and that's one of their defences, is that they say that they're not driving. They don't need a driver's license because they're not driving, they're travelling, which is, it's just describing what they're doing with a different word. Now I'm not, I don't want to get into it. They make an interesting video because, well, the police always end up, smashing windows and dragging them out of the car, but anyway, so it's interesting to watch. I'm not really going to get into asleep sometimes, especially if I've had a bit of jet lag. I might be watching something on TV and I just totally fall asleep. When you wake up, half an hour down the track and you're trying to work out, well, firstly, you know where you are and what you're doing and what's happened in the movie that you're watching, I was watching. Yes, it's interesting. I like to go back and watch those movies again and work out what I've missed, the movies that I've fallen asleep in. That is to what I've slept through and what I remember. Sometimes I think I've just missed so much. Sometimes it can only just be a quarter of an hour or so, half an hour. It's not that much. Okay, strike is to hit, as in, I suppose strike something up with a hammer, sorry, yeah. Hit it with a hammer, but in baseball it's a strike if you swing. Basically, swing and a miss hit is a strike. Obviously, if the ball goes between a certain point and the batsman doesn't swing it, that's also a strike. But if they swing the bat and miss, that's a strike as well. So not really. I've watched a bit of baseball, so I won't sort of pretend I'm an expert on it. But anyway, I've sort of been covering my bases a bit tonight in this video. Finished is as if completed something. It's completed, or completed, ready to go, or it's been destroyed, which is where something is completed, ready to be used at the beginning of its life, or it's destroyed, it's at the end of its, I'm talking about more of like a car or something like that. Some bit of equipment. It's at the end of its useful life. Now, have I got any more? I must have one. Oh yeah, sick. Here we go. I've got a list that I'm going from, that I've sort of jumped around a bit with the words that I'm using. Sick can be ill. If something is sick, then it is ill. Be ill, or as in sick, as in you're not well. It can be awesome. It's sick. And actually, this week I've been quite sure what I've had wrong. Some sort of a virus thing. I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to do this video without sort of coughing and wheezing and things, but I think I've come good. It's Thursday night at the moment, so I think I've come good, and I'm going to, looks like I'm going to be able to complete this video. So yeah, I was sick, I was ill, but now hopefully this video is awesome. Another word that's kind of like sick is deadly, which can mean that it's deadly, which means it's somehow or other poisonous, something to be avoided, or it can also mean it's awesome, which I think, I'm not sure if other countries use that word. It's more of a the same terribly. You know, I'd stutter away, sort of saying terrible, then, you know, terribly good. And the last one, which is sort of, I suppose in a way, it's not really a contronym, but it's by adding, it's a word that means to, you know, bad, and adding an ly and a good to it, it suddenly turns, you know, it's going, and then suddenly becomes bad, and then suddenly it goes good, and dreadful. Oh no, wait, Dick, got that word wrong. You know, how was dinner tonight, Stevie? Stephen, I think I was meant Stephen, yeah. And I say, oh yeah, it's dreadful, start away on dreadful, and then add dreadfully good. I know, it's sort of a wonder in some ways when I think back. Wonder why she cooked me any meals at all, really, but still. Although I do remember, I must have really annoyed her one time, because I went to school. I think I've told this story before, but I can't remember why. But I remember going to school and I had my sandwich for the lunchtime was just 2 pieces of bread. There was no butter or margarine or anything, and it was just one lettuce leaf shoved in the middle of 2 pieces of bread. And I always remember this girl looking at me and saying, what have you got on your sandwiches? And I said, a lettuce leaf. She had like a strange look on her face. But anyway, that's kind of off the track there a bit, but anyway. So that is contronyms. These aren't really contronyms, but they're just words that, these are all words, these three, words that go from bad to good. And I'd have to say, you know, we always had, it's just in defence of my mum, I think, is that we always had, yeah, it was always nice cooking and everything looked after us. I think I was just annoying, that's all. So anyway, kind of, I was just an annoying kid. So anyway, that's the way it is. I got off track there a little bit, but anyway, that's contronyms. So let's have a quick run through them before we go. Sanction, allow or penalise. Dusting, removing dust or sprinkling of powder. Weather is to withstand the storm or be eroded by the storm. Bound is where you're going somewhere or you're tied up or restricted. Bolt is when you run or flee, or it's where you secure something. Clip is where something is fastened with a clip, or you cut, you know, your nails or back it or something. Barrack is steering for a team, or it's steering, heckling somebody. And root is the word they use that in for cheering for your team in the USA. Oversight, miss something by error, or carefully supervise someone. Consult is offer advice or to ask for advice. Flog is to promote or to beat severely. Trip, to stumble or to trouble. And strike, hit or a miss. Finished is completed or destroyed. awesome there, so yeah. I thought that was kind of interesting. Hopefully you did too, about this idea of words that, English words that we're using all the time that can have opposite meanings, just depending on what context you're using them. Okay, well that's coming to the end of the video, so I'll say don't forget to like and subscribe. There's a tip jar down underneath the video, link there if you wanted to donate me a few dollars just to say thanks for any of the videos that I'm doing, which would be much appreciated, but no obligation of course. And thanks to all the people that have donated so far. And okay, so I'll wrap it up now and say that I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you found it relaxing.